I wrote this song back years ago, I don't know, back in the 1920s or something. And it's basically just like a jammer. So if you want to, grab your guitar or sing along or make up lyrics, whatever you want to do, get some keyboards. It's screaming for keyboards. Basically I was screwing around with the bass. That's what I was doing. I was testing out jazz lines on the bass. That's what this whole song centers. And the plan was to send it around to some of my musician friends. Yeah, for you folks that don't know, I spent my life playing pool and playing music. And each one had their own thing to it until we had like 20 people creating this song. And those 20 people were named the Beach Bum Orchestra. The Beach Bum Orchestra. Yeah, but it only got to like 2 people before it just kind of fizzled out. So people were like, oh, what the hell do you want me to do with this? It didn't work. But I was listening to it the other day because I was going through old files I've been cleaning out my computer. And man, I am a pack rat hoarder. When it comes to computers, I can't throw anything out. I don't know, so I wind up saving it to those zip drives, big zip drives, like, 150 million gigabytes, big ones. And I have like hundreds of zip drives of files that I will never ever use. And this is a real time killer trying to clean out my computer because it's like, I can't throw that out. That brings up memories of, it's like 25 minutes of me talking about a sunset. There's no place for this. Show the sunset and get on with it, dude. But there I am. It's like, oh, I remember those days. Yeah, I'm a digital hoarder. So anyway, also speaking of that, while I was going through these old files, I found two runouts that were completely misfiled into another file. I was like, what is this? And I started watching them, and sure enough, they were taken on February 11th, so they're recent, of this year. Yeah. I'm like, wow, check it out. I don't have to go back to, 2016 to get videos. There's a recent one, just a couple months ago. So that's this, and let's move on. Thanks, guys. Alright, the situation. What would you do on this one ball to get to the 2, which is sitting right in front of the pocket down there on the top left-hand side? And where exactly do you want to be on the 2 to be able to get back on the 3 in order to get the right position to get on the 4 and then back in on the 5, which is sitting right in front of the left-hand side pocket? I'll give you a second to take a look at this, and then we'll come back and show you what I did. You probably figured out by now that I'm shooting that one ball in the bottom left-hand corner, and I'm bending the cue ball to that rail so I don't scratch. If you just try to put a stun shot on this and just go to that rail, That ball's going right in the side pocket. If you try to roll forward, it's going in the side pocket too. So you really have to stroke the hell out of this with a whole lot of bottom and a whole lot of right hand English. The problem here is when it comes off that rail, it has a little bit too much momentum on it because I shot it a little bit too hard. And you'll see what happens. So we'll cut away right here and then come back for the second graphic. To check this out, I finally learned my lesson and decided to use the bridge. And it only took me until I was 97 years old to figure out that I'm better off shooting with the bridge than shooting left-handed. Let's take a look at this shot line. And now we see the 6 ball coming into the picture down there at the bottom of the table. And you may have noticed that I'm not going to the rail on this 2 ball. I'm drawing this back with the rake. It's kind of dangerous. I figured it's a better shot than spinning off this rail because I'm worried about running into that 4 ball. And if that happens, I'm going to have to play a safety, and it ain't my style, homie. The great thing about this 3 ball is it's a big ball. If you get on the right hand side of this 3 ball line, you can always just go to that rail and bounce off and stay on that side or come back to the other side of the 4 ball. If you get straight in, you can always just draw back and go 2 rails on the 4 ball shot back out for a straight in shot on the 5 ball. If you get on the left-hand side of the 3 ball, which is what I wind up doing, you can just stun it out and try to get straight in on the 4 ball line for the same situation, just to come back for straight in shot on the 5, draw back a little bit, and go 2 rails from the 6 to the 7. So, yeah, I mean, you have a big margin of error from the 2 to the 3. You just don't want to go too long and get, if you come out here on the 3 ball, you're going to be in trouble on this 4 ball. But even if you come up too short, like right here, you can still cut this 3 ball in and get back to the right side of this table for a shot on the 4. So, yeah, I mean, you have like 2 feet to get this cue ball. And that's one of the reasons I decided to draw this 2 ball with not much room to draw out at all. I mean, there's very little room to stroke, so I really have to poke it and get the cue ball or get the cue stick out of the way because it's coming right back at it. So let's go ahead and continue and see what happens on this deuce. Like I said, I'm just drawing back on this 3 ball to get back on this 4 ball line and to draw again back out the center table for a shot on the 5. And from that point, I'm going 2 rails on the 6 to come back around the table for a shot on the 7, but I want to stay on the left-hand side of that 7 ball line so I can stun it back for a straight in shot on this 8 ball. I got just a hair to the right-hand side of this 4 ball line, and that's what I was shooting for, and that way I can stay up on the right-hand side of this table for when I'm shooting the 5 ball. And from there, I'm just drawing back, I don't know, maybe a foot or 2 on the 5 ball to get the right angle on the 6 to spin the cue ball back around 2 rails and staying up on the left-hand side of the 7, so I can just stun it back toward that right-hand side pocket for a shot on that 8 to get all the way back up table for a shot on that 9, but we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, so let's cut away again. Everything is going well so far. I got straight in on this 5 ball. Now we see the 9 ball come into full color here. So this is the last time you'll have to think 5 balls ahead. After this is 4 balls ahead, and then 3 balls ahead, 2 balls ahead, and just 1 more ball. Alright, what are we doing here? I'm just drawing back a little bit and trying to get the right angle, which would be right about here. And then spinning this 6 ball. This 6 ball is a little bit tricky. If you don't take this shot a lot, I recommend taking it because it comes up all the time. And we're spinning around, getting on the left-hand side of that 7, like I mentioned, stunning out. And on this stun shot, you have to be careful not to scratch in that right-hand side pocket. And that's why I got a little gun shy here. I didn't want to get carried away and try to get straight in on the 8. And you'll see what happens. I'm going to save that for another one of those what would you do moments. Let's go ahead and cut back to the game and see what happens. Center table works good. Now you can see the shot line, and we're spinning this with just a little bit of top and some left-hand English, because we really need to widen that angle off that bottom round. You don't want that parallel angle this time. You want to spin it up to that second diamond on that left-hand side rail. And again, you're coming up short on the 7 ball line, stunning out for the 8 ball, and then getting back on the 9 ball. But the 8 to the 9 brings up a big mystery, and it again goes back to what would you do, so we're going to pause in the next graphic. We're obviously just stunning us out with bottom on it, just to get on that 8 ball line. But actually, again, I'm trying to avoid that scratch, so I'm really not trying to go to that line. Let's look at the shot line, and I can show you exactly what's happening here. Because of the stroke I put on this cue ball is heading straight to that right-hand side pocket. So if I try to get on this line, which, would be the ultimate, and then I could just draw it straight back for an easy shot on that 9 ball, I would come up short of that bottom round, probably just to the second diamond up right about here, and just take that pretty easy shot on the 9. If you don't go far enough, if you come up short on this and you get, say, right here, you're not going to have any other option to put a lot of right hand English on this and a little bit of bottom, and go 2 rails from this rail to this rail and back up on the 9 this way. It's a lot of work. It's a common shot. If you don't know it, you should practice it, because that too comes up a lot. Now, if I get somewhere in the middle, like say right here, I'm not going to have any option but to take a pretty hard shot on the 9 ball, because I'm only going to be able to bounce off that rail to about center table, and I don't want to go too far to the right hand side of the table, because then we're going to get super bad on the 9 ball, and that's the last thing you want to do with 9 balls. Play a perfect game and then get bad on the 9. Yeah, there's nothing worse than that. So the question is, where would you play this 8 ball? Where would you take the two rather? Would you try to get straight in? And if you didn't do either one of those and you got in the middle somewhere, then what would you do? So it's all about you, Scooby. Put yourself in my shoes for a minute and ask yourself what you would do here. And you'll see where I get, and you'll see what happens. So then again, ask your question. Now John is here, what would I do? Before all that happens, before I shoot this 8-ball, we're going to do the loop back. You know how this works. But I am going to show you the 7-ball shot. Just so you can see where I got and then ask yourself what you would do. That's how this works. Thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I will see everybody on Wednesday. Peace. Here it is.
What will you do?